over the nation, at every great naval base from Norfolk to San Diego, the waves are taking up their battle stations. Trained to do all the jobs that men have formerly had to perform at shore establishments, the Women's Reserve of the Navy is America's answer to the need for an ever-increasing fighting force at sea. Like thousands of her shipmates, Ann Peyton, pharmacist mate 3rd class, is finding herself squared away to Navy life, as if she were born with salt water in her veins. After a Navy day's work, which is second cousin to a hard day's work, only more satisfying, Ann sets her course dead ahead for quarters and a chance to relax. Oh boy, that letter from home, and snapshots of the family, Mom and Dad and Jimmy, whom Ann used to think was such a little pet, but whom she misses since she's been away. It's okay to say hiya, but not to Admirals, young lady. That's right. A full salute to Admiral Farragut, who was probably saying, "What's this? Women folk in my Navy?"
Dear family, I wish you could all come out to San Diego sometime and see my new home. It's great fun to be a member of ship's company at one of the Navy's most beautiful training bases. But just to remind us we're actually in a potential war zone, we're surrounded with hidden anti-aircraft guns, ready to give Mr. Tojo a warm reception if he ever decides to call on us. And roaring overhead are those gigantic Liberator bombers. When I first came here, I was such a boot, I couldn't tell a B-24 from a flying fortress. And I've been wanting to tell you about some of my new friends and what their jobs are. There's Dolores, one of the swellest gals on the station. We've nicknamed her Doc because she's always talking about her work in the medical lab. Helen's grand, too. She's a yeoman. A yeoman's a saltwater stenographer. Then Jean's our glamour girl. Only you'd better not let her hear you say it. She's a mainstay in the post office, where mail is readdressed to men fighting with the fleets all over the world. And then there are thousands of phone calls that come through our exchange boards from all over the country. Some of the conversations are what the Navy calls restricted and confidential. But don't worry, a woman can keep secrets too. In fact, Waves are taking over many jobs handling naval dispatches. Betty's only been at this a short time, but you'd never know it from the way she handles that machine. Radio is another job the girls are learning to take in their stride. You can imagine what a thrill it is to send messages to ships and planes at sea. By the time I get through with this letter, it's going to be a book. Luella and Pat, they're pharmacist mates who assist Navy dentists. All the patients seem to agree that our pharmacist mates are very efficient. We can't get into the air ourselves, but we're doing the next best thing, taking over all sorts of important jobs that keep our Navy planes flying.
San Diego Tower, Navy, 5540, ready to take instructions.
Navy 5577, San Diego Tower, all clear for takeoff.
San Diego Tower, 5577, ready to take off on runway 3.
Navy 8642, traffic using runway number 3.
Aerographers forecast the weather for the pilots. Storekeepers assemble the emergency supplies that might mean the life of a pilot shot down at sea. It's also our responsibility to check every article loaded on planes heading for the battle areas. Mary Parker really has a fascinating job. She not only rigs the parachutes, but she checks them in and out for the Navy pilots. And does she like her work? Martha checks the pilot's course as he flies by instrument in the link trainer. The tomboys whose brothers wouldn't let them tinker with their hopped-up fours are having a field day. Peggy has the same rating of aviation machinist mate as the fellow she released for carrier duty. And after her training at the air station in Norman, Oklahoma, she really knows her stuff. And I haven't even begun to tell you what I'm doing. I've been assigned to the X-ray section. Can you imagine your awkward little daughter, Ann, Mom, handling those delicate X-ray plates all by herself? Of course, we don't spend all our time in the office. The other day, we learned all about a big Navy gun from a very patient gunner's mate. I made second base on the softball team. The other day, I tried to slide home the way Jimmy taught me, and it's a good thing my work calls for my being on my feet. We have a fine swimming pool here, and the teachers are swell. And just so we can honestly say we've been to sea, we're all learning to sail these penguin boats. They're even trying to make an archer of me. One of these days, if I'm not careful, I'm actually going to hit that target. Mary's our bowling champ, and she really throws herself into it. Yes, I guess we play just as hard as we work. But we never really lose sight of the fact that we are at war, and that the boys out on the high seas are making sacrifices we can never forget. Whenever I go to chapel, I think of Bill and of all the others, and what they're facing out there. All denominations are free to worship here. One of the most popular men on the station is Father McGuire. Winter back home is just another Sunday afternoon on the Pacific. Our favorite indoor sport 3 times a day is eating. We call it chow, and is it good? With those second and third helpings, it's a good thing we get plenty of work and exercise. I don't think I could ever put into words what it means to salute the colors each evening. This letter wouldn't be complete without telling you what a thrill it is to see 1,000 blue jackets going by you on the double. And as I watch them, I wonder if girls all over the country realize that joining the Navy means releasing these men to fight our enemies. The Navy needs 50,000 more girls like us to do the jobs ashore left vacant by our men who've gone to fight from Murmansk to the South Pacific. Getting late now. I guess it's time to hit the sack. Good night, my darlings. Lots of love, Anne, your busy pharmacist mate. Good night, Admiral. We're awfully proud to be aboard.